Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this Behind Every Employer webinar. This is our second webinar in this series, Explain Behind Every Employer campaign. We're excited to bring this information to you this afternoon. My name is Kirsten Bayer, and I'm with the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support at Illinois State University, and I will be on for technical support and moderation. Today, I'm also joined by our full capacity marketing team that will be explaining the webinar content today, as well as Lavon Nelson from the Illinois Community College Board. She's on for representation, and Alex Weidenhammer. I apologize, Alex, if I'm butchering your last name.
Oh, you're fine.
Couple of housekeeping things. We are recording today's webinar, and we will have that posted on our website. And we will be sending out a follow-up survey, as well as the slide deck and the recording following today's webinar to all of you. So you can look back at it, or you can share it out with colleagues or anyone else that you would need to share it out with. If you have any questions regarding today's content or anything, you can feel free to reach out to me via the chat. But other than that, I'm going to hand it off to Selena to start the content for today.
Okay, thanks so much, Kirsten. And Kirsten, if you wouldn't mind grabbing the link from your website and putting it in the chat, and that way people know where to go for the
Yeah.
PowerPoint handout and the webinars, that would be fantastic. So hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Selena Shands. I'm the CEO and founder of Full Capacity Marketing. Very excited to be here for webinar 2, along with Deb Strafella, our VP of Marketing and Communications. For those of you who don't know our firm, we are a national marketing consulting firm specializing in workforce and education for the past 22 years. We have a national footprint, and we also have worked specifically in Illinois with Your Path, Your Future campaign for adult learners, and now here with Behind Every Employer. I'm really excited to tap into this topic today. We'll do a quick review of webinar number 1, and then we'll get into this whole concept of your unique selling proposition, which is really about what you do different and better than others that are in a similar space. So these could be for-profit companies that provide training. It could be other organizations that provide literacy training, because I know we have our adult education, our adult providers here, as well as the non-credit. So we've got a mix here today. So we'll get into this whole thing of what we call a USP, unique selling proposition, how you go about that, which is really conducting a competitive analysis. You'll see why that's important, because in the toolkit that we have provided to you, you're going to be able to tailor that. And the more you can tailor the message, the more effective you're going to be in this campaign. So we'll go into a little bit of message deconstruction and how you apply that to the toolkit and tailor it with your unique selling proposition. And then we're going to do this thing called sequencing, which is lead follow-up. As you know, we're going to have an overarching campaign that Deb and the digital team are going to lead primarily on LinkedIn. And we're going to be acquiring leads for all of you. We'll go over how those leads will get distributed and everything in the next webinar. Today, we're really going to focus on the messaging in the toolkit and using the toolkit to get anywhere between 5 and 12 touch points with an employer, which is really what you need to what we call get the sit, get a meeting with them, and start opening up that relationship. So as we go forward, Deb will monitor the chat along with Kirsten. So if you have any questions, need clarification on anything, don't hesitate to stop us and we will slow down and answer questions. Okay, so let's do a quick review of really what this whole campaign is about. And the goal is really to make the Illinois system of non-credit and sorry, I've got to move this little, there we go. Non-credit and adult education providers top of mind with employers when considering different solutions to help them compete. That's the goal of it. A lot of you in the first webinar said have issues in employer engagement because they don't know about us. They don't understand what we do. So if we don't have those two basic things, they're not going to come to you and say, hey, we need your services, right? We've got to really establish that. In the statewide campaign, will help us do that through advertising, digital ads, while you're also working on marketing at your local level. We have 3 strategies to meet this goal. One is to increase awareness about the collective employer solutions of non-credit and adult ed providers for Illinois employers. So collective is a word we really focus on in here. And you'll see in our campaign, we're really focusing on both, everything. You may run into an employer as a non-credit provider and say, wow, we really need literacy training for our student population. Well, now you have partners here that are all part of the campaign that can provide that. Second strategy is to improve employer market penetration for non-credit and adult ed providers. So really expanding your reach, going beyond who just knows about you now, pardon me, into new employers. And then increase employer engagement across the state by building the capacity of non-credit and adult ed providers to have an employer first mindset. And so to do that, we're doing these sets of webinars, these 3 webinars. We're doing the statewide campaign and the campaign toolkit, and all that was covered in webinar 1. The information sort of builds on one another, but I will try to go back and do recaps from our previous webinar. So this is from webinar 1 and what we're doing. Now, also in webinar 1, we talked about this concept of touch points and why each one counts. Touch point is any interface that you have with an employer customer. And each one counts because research shows us it takes anywhere between 5 and 12 touch points to get what we call the sit, or get an employer engaged, or even get a student enrolled. So we've given you things in this toolkit, and Deborah, Kirsten, if you could pop the link into that again, where they can download all these goodies. And again, we went over this last time, but all these toolkit items that we've developed are assets that you can use to create a touch point. And we've actually put together a sequencing for you on how to do that, whether it's using the press release, the campaign video, or the flyers. The other concept we went over in the last webinar was a concept of B2C versus B2B. So when you're marketing and doing outreach to students, that's so different than what we're doing here, and which is a B2B strategy. 2 separate campaigns, 2 separate types of messaging. If you notice in the Your Path, Your Future, for those of you who were involved in that campaign, we were marketing to consumers. So we had an emotional appeal. It was really fueled by emotion, inspiration. That's what consumers need to break through the noise of what we see in the market every day in terms of advertising. When we're going B2B, which is what we're doing in this campaign, you can think of this organization to organization. It's totally different. Those messages need to be motivated by, their goals, their budgets. It's relationship driven. So the 5 to 12 touch points come into play on this, because just because we send an ad or an employer sees an ad, that doesn't mean they're going to pick up the phone and call. They need to see behind every employer campaign, of which you all are a proud partner, over and over again. They're also looking for you to be an expert and a problem solver. So it's not just about going in and saying, here's what we can provide to you. It's really going in and listening to what they need, which is what we're going to cover, that consultative process in webinar 3. So part of this is, we're going to take it one step at a time, and we're going to work on your unique selling proposition first, so that you can then apply it to your toolkit items. And then in the last webinar, we'll talk about what to do when you get the lead and all of that. Okay, so a competitive analysis. What is it? Basically, it's a process of examining similar brands in your industry to gain insight into everything they're doing. I call it friendly stalking. You're going online and you're looking at these competitors and you're saying, what's their branding like? What is their marketing approach? What are the messages that they're saying? And that gives you a baseline from which to say, well, I've got an idea. This is how we're different. This is how we are better. And that's going to come up in conversation when you talk with an employer. Their thing is, why should I choose you? And you have to have an answer for that. And that's why you can get a unique selling proposition. This competitive analysis is really great. So in the private sector, knowing competitors is really important, because it's going to increase market share and sales. And in your world, public and nonprofit sectors, is just as important because there are for-profit schools and programs that offer similar education and training services. And even if your services are free, the employer still evaluates, should I engage with this person? Do they really know what they're talking about? Is it going to be too much paperwork and time on my end? Because as an employer, time is money. So they're still evaluating you. You can't go in and say, hey, this is free necessarily as your lead. It really has to be how you stack up in your unique market. And so part of this helps you answer the question, why would an employer want to partner with your organization versus a competitor? What do you do different and or better than your competitors? And is engaging with you worth their time? That's all the kind of the background of a competitive analysis. So after describing it, I'm very curious. Kirsten, if you could bring up the first poll, I just want you to weigh in. And have you ever conducted a competitive analysis? So select one, yes, no. If you're not sure, maybe you've done parts of this, which I just didn't call it a competitive analysis. So go ahead and weigh in there on, have you ever conducted a competitive analysis? And if you have, it would be great to put in the chat, like, what elements have you done? Have you like gone online and looked at their websites? Have you put together a list of competitors? Yeah, just any element of a competitive analysis. Okay, we've got 65 of you and no one has answered. So is my mic on?
No,
You guys,
everyone's answered or everyone's answering. You're just not a co-host,
I'm
so you
not
can't
seeing
see
it.
it.
Okay,
Yeah. So, which I can make you one.
you need to
But
got
so
it.
50 out of 63 people have answered. So we'll give
Oh,
everyone just a
fantastic.
couple more seconds.
Okay, thanks, Kirsten. I'm just seeing the poll question on my end. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm so happy. About 25% of you have, and I bet you the other 25% that are saying, I'm not sure, I bet you've done some element of it at some point in time. You just maybe not call that. So for the folks, the 23% of you who have actually said yes, can you just drop in the chat what you did, even if it's just one element of it? That would be fantastic. And then Deb, you can pick those up and we can take a look here as people are going through. Okay. So some of the benefits while you all are doing that, let me go over some of the benefits. One is it's going to differentiate your services against those who provide similar offerings. And it'll fulfill your customers' desires and basically solve their problems better than competitors. You've got to go in knowing that unique selling proposition. It helps distinguish your brand and stand out in the market and develop critical marketing messages. For example, full capacity marketing, our unique selling proposition is in our name, full capacity, because unlike other advertising agencies and firms, we try to work ourselves out of a job everywhere we go and build the capacity of those we're working with so you can sustain your brand. Deb, did you have a comment?
I do. Sorry, I'm cutting and pasting. The first one was from Bonnie Moore. She said we do a SWOT analysis, price analysis, identification of industry trends, and competitor identification regularly. So that's great. Adam says, I call it market analysis, but I see what other professional programs are doing locally and nationally, see how much they charge, and see if we should get in the game on those topics and if we can be successful. Also great. And Eric Kurtz has said, we've done pieces and parts of a competitive analysis, including researching competitors, compared services, done a SWOT, rating competitors, and compared services and pricing. So people are definitely on the right path.
Oh, I love that. Great job, Bonnie, Adam, and Eric. Bonnie, you made a really good point there, and you look at industry trends. There's nothing better than sitting down with someone in your space who really understands, like my industry. If you're coming in to meet with me, say as a manufacturer or healthcare or whatever, and you're up on the trends, that really shows your knowledge, and that differentiates you just really in terms of knowing my own market and giving me value added information rather than just telling me what you do. So it's more apt to having a conversation. So I bet your consults are fantastic. Okay. The other thing I want to get into is getting a handle on your competitors. One of the things that you want to do is conduct a Google search of keywords likely used to find your programs and services to identify competitors within your service area. So let's say, gee, I don't know who's in my service area, but I want to find out who my competitors are. You can just do a general Google search term, things like training for employees, and then you can insert your county and your state. Workplace literacy for employees, that would be another word to identify similar organizations in your service area. So you want to create a list of at least 3 to 5 competitors when you're doing this analysis. Make a list of organizations that directly compete for employers' attention and offer similar services as noted on the campaign landing page. Here's a snapshot of like the second or third module of the web page for the campaign. And you can see how we've bundled everything into what we call 4 major areas, or I call them buckets, but 4 major areas. So there's customized training, there's business solutions, there's basic literacy and English language acquisition, and then partnerships. So if you're falling within one of these spaces, then those are the terms that you're going to want to see. The other thing you want to see is if your name comes up, does your college come up? Does your adult education program come up? And that's a whole body of knowledge called search engine optimization. And it's more than just using keywords on your website, but it really is how you build out the website. Way too overload for today's conversation, but rest assured the web page that we've developed, we've tried to optimize it as much as possible, and we'll repeat those words over and over again in advertising as well as the look and feel. So that's what you want to do. You want to create a list, and then you're going to go friendly stalk them. And what we've done is we've created a template for you that will be on that link that Kirsten shared with you. And you're going to list out the company's name, let's say the 3 or 4 or 5 top competitors, and their website address. You're going to go on their website and look at what do they offer specifically. I would also review their online footprint. So anywhere they come up in a Google search, not only their website, but their social media accounts, go to their social accounts. What posts are getting high engagement? People are really interested in that topic. Where did they rank in the search engines? So did they pay for ads or do they get up there organically? And I'll show you some snapshots of the two. Look in the about section. Who do they say they are? What is their brand narrative and story? Do they have a unique selling proposition, a tagline, or a key set of messages that they talk about over and over again? And that's going to help you. And you just plot it all out in this grid. Now, what I'm going to do is share with you a case study. This is from College of the Sequoias in California. They have their non-credit is called the Training Resource Center. That's what they're called. They dug into this and they said, we really want to do a competitive analysis. So I'm going to show you snippets of what they've done so that you can apply it to your unique market. We put in some keywords just to start. So the search term here was training for employees by Visalia, California. So you'll notice that paid ads will be displayed first. So you see the ad over here. They're usually called sponsored ads, or it'll say ad next to it. And these are the folks. There you got Udacity, Corporate Training Services, Masterclass at Work. So these folks are paying to move up in the search engines. I know you guys have limited budgets and you want to work up there organically, which means when someone puts in there, you're automatically at the top of the list. So here you can see, here's some more sponsored ads on that same search term. And here where it starts with CSET, TCOE, and OSHA. Those were the ones that came up organically in California governor's office. So those organic results are usually followed by sponsored or paid ads. What's going to be great about this campaign is we're going to be getting that brand out behind every employer. You are a proud partner of that. So through the ads and other things that you're going to do at the local level with the toolkit, like social media posts, like using the proud partner logo on your website with an active link back to the campaign site, All of those things we talked about in webinar one, that's going to help push employers to that page to help find the whole collective network, if you will. So this is an example here for training for employees in Visalia. So what we did is we went to one of this particular company that was a competitor. And what they do is they leverage high-powered celebrities to teach employees online as kind of a next level learning. That's what they're touting here. And so one of the things College of the Sequoia says, well, while non-credit doesn't have celebrities, our instructors are kind of hometown heroes because we know the unique market. We could actually flip this unique selling proposition on its head and say, well, why would you go with celebrities when you've got qualified people here who are your hometown heroes who want to see you succeed? And then on their website of this competitor, they looked at how might the benefit statement on this slide be applicable or reframed to describe benefits for the non-credit program. So here's some of their key points. Next level learning to unlock the full potential of your teams, reimagine employee development, learning and development anywhere, anytime, keep teams motivated and engaged, the unique company benefit to drive business outcomes. So sometimes it's good to see what they're saying and say, well, here are the benefits that they say they're going to promise to customers. Are they similar to ours or are they different? What is different about what we do that we can also tout? Here is another slide on the analysis, which is their online footprint. And the other thing we do is we look at frequently asked questions, and look here, they had one. Products are available for businesses to purchase, and how are they different? So here is another way of how they are different. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to be able to compete toe to toe with everything in here, but you've got to think through, if I'm asking you as an employer, why should I go with you versus someone over here? You know, it's the question we're asking. So you ask yourself, so your example, one of the things thought of, you just got a grant. One of the things, you know, a lot of employers love to have connections in with the public sector and nonprofit because they usually have connections in to leverage funding and connections as well in the community. So your latest grant to design unique offerings to support employers, that's different. None of your competitors are going to have that. You just got this grant. That's why we're making a big deal of it in the press release that you're going to template and put it out in your community. So you could lean into something like that for this particular project. And then what you're going to do after you brainstorm, you're going to make a list of what you believe is your USP to test with your current customers. And I'm going to give you a process for testing it with a couple of your customers because it's another touch point. Maybe you can talk to some customers who haven't pinged you in a while and you've lost touch with, so you can get back in touch by testing out some of your USPs and just talking with them. I'm curious of the 23% of you who have done some elements of a competitive analysis, did you come up with a unique selling proposition? And if you did, if you could put it in the chat, that will be great as we're rolling through this case study. So the next thing, we also look at social media accounts to examine, again, the types of posts, the hashtags utilized, and how many followers they have. So anywhere they're on social media, you're going to go and check them out. Maybe they've got some videos. So definitely look at that. Okay, here is College of the Sequoia's old flyer that they had. Now, there's things about this that I like, but it's pretty wordy and it's pretty typical of what we see because we want to tell an employer every single thing that we do, and we want to get it all in one flyer. But this was their flyer before. And so we had to decide, what do we do different and better? So over 95% of our instructors are from Tulare County, so they understand the local market challenges you face firsthand and the skills your employees need to help you compete. That's what they thought was their unique selling proposition. There's some good things about this flyer because when you look at what's an effective message, there's generally three parts to it. It's what's the problem, what is the solution, and a call to action. So I see the call to action down here. About Us really does not have a unique selling proposition, but they have a lot of data points. This probably could have been represented better with a single infographic, but it's got the benefits in here, reducing employee turnover, reduction of errors and accidents. So there's some good things about this flyer. It's just the layout and things aren't quite put together well. So here was their brand story without their USP. Welcome to the College of Sequoia's Training Resource Center. By working closely with employers, the TRC provides local and regional businesses with industry relevant customized training and education that enhances employee skills and develops a competitive and productive workplace. That's without the USP. With the USP, it looks something like this. The College of Sequoia's Training Resource Center offers industry relevant, customized training and education that elevates the skills of your employees. Over 95% of our instructors are from Tulare County, so they understand the local market challenges you face firsthand and the skills your employees need to help you compete. And then something, their tagline, they were doodling around with, where local instructors grow local success or train local, And you can see how that key message or that tagline aligns with their unique selling proposition. Deb, go ahead.
Yeah, Bonnie just piped in about the USP. She said, I do not feel that we've designed a unique selling proposition at this point, but we do have a beautiful vision statement, but we haven't taken this to the granular level just yet. So something to work on.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that so much. So hopefully this process will get you dug in a little bit deeper. And that way, when you go to tailor all these assets that we have in the toolkit, it is really for your local market. So as we're hitting the statewide messaging that we're behind every employer, and we have these wonderful package of services, you at the local level can then really tailor and go in at the local market. And all that comes together. We did the same process for Your Path, Your Future, except the target audience was consumer and adult learners. And that worked out extremely well as Kathy and her teams increased enrollment 40.5% from fiscal year 21 to fiscal year 22. So this method of combining statewide and local together works really well. So when you do have that unique selling proposition, you don't want to assume that you've nailed it, right? Because what matters is the employer. So here's kind of a script that you could use that we put in here. I'm conducting a few informal interviews with current customers to identify how we can improve our services. I'd like to ask you a few questions. Your candid input is really valuable. So then you start off by saying you've utilized whatever training program they've utilized. Oh, you're going to plop that name in. Have you used other training providers in our area for similar programs or services? Okay, this will also help you identify competitors as well. If they say, yes, we have, may I ask the name of the provider and how they have helped you? How would you compare the programs in terms of what worked best for your organization? Are there things that we do different or better? Would you say that we're an organization that helps you train local or whatever that tagline is going to be? And then why or why not? Okay. That's your kind of talk track for that. If they say, no, I haven't used anyone, say, what benefits did you derive from our program? Are there things we can improve upon? And would you say you test out that USP again and say why or why not? So either way, where they say yes or no, it's really great research to do. It also tells the employer that you really care about serving them and helping them to stay competitive. So this is a great tool to go back and say, reactivate customers that haven't been with you in a while. Say, hey, we haven't talked in a while. I wanted to let you know. You can tell them about the new grant you just got and, just have a conversation with them. Okay, so now we've done that. We're going to loop back around. Again, a reminder that your consumer messages based on fueled by emotion, your engagement motivated by business goals, budgets, relationships, competency, problem solving is what the employer is going to look at. So here's the message formula that we use to improve upon College of Sequoias. And you can see this is really pared down compared to what they had previously. So it's three sections if you look at the grid: target audience pain point, your solutions and benefits, and a call to action. So, pain point, turnover got you down. Over 94% of employees in a recent survey said they would stay if company invested in their training. Okay. It's a great data point. You're using data. Our industry relevant menu of customized training options deliver results. Over 95% of our instructors are from Tulare County, so they understand the local market challenges you face firsthand and the skills your employees need to compete. Contact us. They got this, go to www.trainlocal.com, which reinforces their key message. And then College of Sequoias, where local instructors grow local success, right? Very succinct message. And this is something you can do for your local organization. Okay, any questions on that so far? That's a lot of information. I'm going to take it now and show you how to tailor the toolkit and then go through some sequencing so you can get those actual touch points to get the sit. Okay, we're good. All right, let's keep going then. So tailoring the toolkit, you have flexible options to tailor the toolkit. We realize that some of you on this call will say, look, I've got enough with my hands tied with all this grant and the programs we're developing. We're just going to use your ready-made tools. Not a problem. We have flyers for every single one of those 4 areas that we showed on the website. So you can do that, or you have the option to tailor the toolkit using your organization's logo, your unique selling proposition, and messages that are specific to your service offerings. If some of you do not have a place on your website for employers, that might be a good thing, is to get with your webmaster and have that, like Psychology of the Sequoias was trainlocal.com. You can buy a domain name for what, $30 or something, and then have it go redirect to that single landing page with more information on it behind every employer, specifically to what you do locally. So everybody's a little bit different in how they're going to want to tailor the toolkit. The goal, though, is to get between 5 and 12 touch points with the employer. It's not going to be all ads, and all ads never build a relationship. It's really you that build the relationship. So in this campaign, your goal is to get the sit with the employer, meaning you want to be able to have time to either conduct a Zoom meeting with that employer or a face-to-face meetup. Best practices for what occurs during that meeting is going to be covered in webinar 3. But today we're going to focus on getting the sit. And you do that by contacting them by phone, email, text, and all through the items of the toolkit to reach the necessary number of touch points. When you receive a lead from the campaign, that means a prospective employer has seen the ad at least once, but probably more than once, 1 or more times. So we got 1 touch point down. Now we've got at least 6 or 7 more to go to interact and try to pull that employer to you to start building the relationship. So what we have done here is giving you a sequencing example. Keep in mind, these are only examples. You're going to need to edit the content and tactics to your communication style, to your comfort level, and all of that to your liking. But remember, it's going to take these amount of touch points to get an employer in and sitting down with you and talking with you. Okay, so touch point 1, this is going to be the ads. These are just some examples of visual on ads that are going to be paired with key message points in a post through LinkedIn. And Deb's actually going to talk about what happens when we get a lead in the next webinar. But this is kind of your first touch point. Remember that they start July 22nd. Is that right, Deb? July 22nd is the ad campaign. So you've got time to prepare your toolkit between now and then to get ready for sequencing. So let's say you get an email, LaVon has tapped you or Kathy has tapped you and say, guess what? You got a lead from the campaign. You're going to pull that lead. When you get it, you need to follow up as quickly as possible. The longer you leave a lead, the colder the lead gets. So you may want to think about, well, gee, if I get 10 leads from the campaign, am I going to be able to have the capacity to follow up with all those 10 leads? Or can I have some help from my team members who can go through this sequencing with for me? So think about that, creating a team. So your email can say something like, again, you're going to have to tailor this, but we're excited that you'd like to get more information about, and you will put in customized training or literacy or English language learner, whatever that is. That's going to be noted on the lead sheet, what they're interested in. And then you say, as a proud partner of the Behind Every Employer Illinois campaign, our organization is known for, and you're going to insert your unique selling proposition. If you don't have one, pull some benefit from one of the general fact sheets that we've developed for you and put it in there. I've attached a link to our short video as a starting place for you to learn more. And I would like to set up a Zoom or face-to-face meeting to get started on finding the right solutions to keep you competitive, what works best for you. And then you provide a couple of days and times. Looking forward to connecting with you. And then you insert your signature line. When you insert the signature line and your title, you'll put obviously the name of your organization, however that's set up. But you also want to put the proud partner logo in there. Why is that? Because we're trying to have them see this brand and be familiar with it. If you just call them up and say, or just say, hey, I hear you're interested in this, they're going to say, well, how did I know? How did I know that you're interested in this? They're going to think it's more spam. So the more you can connect as a proud partner in the campaign, the more connection points you're making for that prospect. Okay. So include the logo in there and start off by saying, I'm a proud partner of this campaign and I am the whatever, dean at this school, whatever. If you have a newsletter, put an opt-in to your e-newsletter to sign up right there. Okay. So this can be an example of touch point 2, and you want to make it as soon as possible. Touch point 3, we're going over to good old LinkedIn. After you send your initial introduction email, search for your prospect on LinkedIn, remember friendly stalking, and ask to connect with this note. Hi, whoever, I'm part of the Behind Every Employer Illinois network at your organization's name. I just sent you an email to provide more information about, insert what they're looking for. Looking forward to connecting with you. If you do not have a LinkedIn account, you want to set one up. I'll tell you, before I have a meeting with anybody that calls me, I am looking at their LinkedIn profile up and down and just seeing, are they professional? What you can put your USP in your LinkedIn account. You can even have proud partner logo in your LinkedIn account for Behind Every Employer. Help them see you online consistently during this campaign. So LinkedIn is really something. If you're not doing LinkedIn, please consider it, because it is one of the best networking tools for B2B out there. All right, so this is number 3. Touch point 4, you're going to pick up the phone. And I've given you timing in a summary grid, so you'll see that in a minute. But 48 hours later, if no response to your email and they haven't connected on LinkedIn, you're going to give the prospect a call and leave a message that is different than your email. So you don't want to keep saying the same things over and over. You want a different slant on it. So this is, again, Selena from the Behind Every Employer Illinois campaign and whatever your organization's name is. I sent an email on whatever date, as I know you're interested in getting more information from our network about whatever they're interested in. Then you want to give them a success story or a data point. Remember, B2B is all about data points. So we've successfully worked with more than however many employers in our area to provide this exact service, helping them to do what? That one sentence is so powerful because it has data points in it. And you've got to be able to obviously prove that. So the data points, thinking through your customer list, what have you done for them, getting those testimonials that as we mentioned in the first webinar, really important. And then I'd like to set up a Zoom so we can execute these results for your company. And then you provide the name and number and available times to call. Okay. Still working on the touch points. Touch point five, 48 hours. They still haven't responded to you. Boy, they're busy. You're going to send another email. This time you're going to use the fact sheet. And so, hi, employer name. I left a message for you and sent a request to connect on LinkedIn. You want to tell them that because maybe they don't check their LinkedIn account. It's like, oh, I better get on there and see. Given busy schedules, I've included a fact sheet on whatever they're interested in. And again, you've got 4 areas. You've also got one overall on the campaign itself. So pick the one you want, along with a few customer references and quotes that provide insight into how we've helped other companies be competitive. This is where you're going in and you've got your employer reference list and they know people may be calling. So you want to put those names and numbers out there, the contact information. And then same thing, I'd like to set up a Zoom. Here's the times. Make sure you include the logo and an opt-in for the newsletter if you have it. I know you're saying, gosh, Selena, does it take all this to get a sale? Yeah, it does. It really does. That's why because businesses are unless you have a warm transfer of somebody you've met at a networking event and things like that, but it does take you staying in front of a prospect to get their attention. So now we're going to move on to touch point 6, which is a newsletter. Now, privacy laws are getting very complex. So always get people to opt into your e-newsletter. You can start because you've got their contact information with a single email and an excerpt from your newsletter. So we've developed newsletter articles and things like that, but you can say, hi, I thought you might enjoy this article from our latest e-newsletter that shares more information about. If I was Bonnie and you have all those industry trends at Bonnie, I'd be leading with that. Hi, I thought about you because as an advanced manufacturer, was just reading this article the other day where blah blah blah. Are you having these kinds of difficulties? Here's a link to the article, right? So that you being up to date on their industry trends, you use that knowledge when you're trying to pull them in. If you'd like, I can subscribe you to, is it a monthly newsletter, quarterly, for our valued business community? All the best. So here you're not asking for anything. This is 5 times you've tried to contact them. So now you're just leaving them a little love note with some good industry data and trends. Back to LinkedIn, number 7. If the prospect has connected with you on LinkedIn, send another note. Hey, thanks for accepting the invitation. We'd still love to get a Zoom or meeting with you. So you send another note through LinkedIn. If they haven't accepted your invitation, look to see if you have common connections and ask for an introduction through your connections. So there may be another business that you've met with. You see there's a connection. You can shoot them a note. Hi, I'm trying to reach blah, blah. See, we have a connection in common. Wonder if you would reach out and let them know what we're doing, and we'd love to get a meeting with them. Touch point 8, phone. Back to the phone. This is, I'm Selena again. I just wanted to make one more attempt to see if you'd like to get a quick consult with me to discuss whatever they have. Here you drop the new grant bomb, which is fantastic. We just received a new grant to support employers in this area, and I would really like to make sure you can leverage this opportunity. And then you provide the phone number. Now, when you look at the research, most people quit a majority after 1 or 2 or 3 contacts. They're out, right? But with this, you really stay in front of them. They were the ones that asked for the information. Sometimes they forget, they fill out forms and everything like this, but eventually they're going to see you enough through LinkedIn, through the campaign, behind every employer, and all of this work that you're doing locally to say, I got to meet with them. Okay, they've contacted me so many times and I'm interested now. They got a grant. I'm going to see if I can leverage that. Here's a little summary grid. So again, these are all examples. You're going to tailor them to meet your communication style, anything that works for you. But you can see here's 8 touch points and the cadence of, so in other words, touch point 1, you're going to receive a lead from the campaign. You follow up immediately via touch point 2, which is the email or the video. 24 hours later, you're on LinkedIn. 48 hours you're on a phone call. 48 hours you're doing the email again with the fact sheet. 48 hours that, you're doing the newsletter, giving them love. And then 72 hours later, you go to LinkedIn, 72 hours that phone call, and then you reassess. And this is, you're working different leads at different stages. So, Deb, you're going to have a little place right in the spreadsheet for them to monitor all of these steps, if I recall correctly.
Yes, and Levon and Alex and I are meeting with the colleges this week to give them a little bit more information. And I know that Kathy has something to set up with the adult ed providers, but because everybody has to keep track of what they're doing for the granting and funding, we've set up a whole spreadsheet so it's very easy where you could put, okay, we got this lead on August 10th. On the 12th, we made the first contact. On the 14th, we did the second. So that way, we're helping you stay organized. It's an easy way for you or other team members to go in and go, okay, hey, Kathy made an email on Tuesday. I have to remind her, or I'll follow up on Thursday. And it's also a way for Levon and Alex and Kathy to look and to see how all the partners are doing on the program.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So this is why we say get a team. Levon, did you have a point you want to?
Yeah, I wanted to clarify. So everybody, some of the adult ed providers are colleges. So tomorrow, our meeting is specifically for the non-credit side of the grant. Just so you know, it is specifically to address the non-credit lead generation. So some of you may be out of college, but you're going to be doing your own thing through the adult ed side. So I just wanted to clarify that. So you can be at a college, but if you're adult ed, that's going to be through Kathy.
Got it. That's a great point.
Yeah, strictly for non-credit.
Fantastic, fantastic. And Kathy, so Levon's going to be handling non-credit. Kathy's going to be handling the adult education providers. And so you all, you have golden opportunities as well. When we meet next time on webinar 3, we're going to talk about what to do in the SIT. And that may be opening up to everything this campaign offers. So if you're in adult ed, but you see something on the non-credit side of the house, as an example, let's say your adult ed program, you see something on non-credit that the employer is ready for, you build more credibility by making that referral out, even though you don't get to check your box right away, because the employer's not, you have two choices when you're in a SIT. You can say, well, they're not interested, I've probed, and they're not interested in what I have to offer, but we have these other things and I'd like to make a referral. You build so much credibility because as an employer, I'm going to come back to you and say, wow, they really had my best interest at heart. I did
Thanks,
this
Deborah.
and I'm sorry, go ahead. What was that?
I apologize. I said tomorrow. I'm a day ahead, the 10th. Deborah just put that in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Can I jump in on that, Selena? We're going to work really hard. That's why we have the buckets set up the way they are. The customized training and the business solutions are really targeted at non-credit. We're going to work very hard with all of you. And yes, referrals back and forth are great. So, but we do want you to know we're trying to be very clear about getting those referrals to the right. Then it's up to you at the local level. A non-credit college could say, hey, I don't really do that, but I know XY college does that. They're in my next district. Because we also have to be respectful of the college district boundaries. So I do want to clarify that. And then they collaborate together and they work together, but they are required to meet the needs of their community in their in their district, which is they are local autonomous entities, and they receive taxes. So we do have to be cognizant of that.
Yeah, for sure. And you'll see in the next webinar, we're going to go through some scenarios where an employer says, you know what, I'm just not interested or I don't have time. Those are kind of knee-jerk reactions. So whatever elevator pitch we're bringing to them or how we're developing touch points, we have to look at that really carefully. The power is in open-ended questions and a probing analysis of what their needs are. If what you are offering in your district is not going to meet the immediate needs of that company and they are not interested in what you have, you can either say goodbye, see you later, or making those referrals, as LaVon said, is going to build your credibility. So we'll go into that deeply next time on what you do during the sit and how to really build that credibility. So for now, you can see why we're putting all this in front of you now before the campaign starts, because we want you to have time, if you choose to do so, to conduct that competitive analysis and determine your unique selling proposition and tailored messaging so that you can start editing the toolkit and identify what is going to be your touch point sequencing. What I shared with you here may not work for you in your market at all. You may say, you know what? I know our employers, they get back to us. They get back to us within 3 calls generally. Okay, so then what is going to be your 3 touch points then that you want to execute? But you want to set all this up now and have the sequencing in place and identify the teams who are going to be following up with the leads and helping you with that sequencing. What you don't want to have happen is on July 22nd, we're going to start awareness campaigns. Probably a couple of weeks later, you're going to start getting some leads generated from our awareness campaign. And then it's like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? And you've got all this list. The colder the lead sits, the colder it's going to be. They're not going to want to engage with you because business wants you to react at the speed of business, unfortunately. And then next webinar, we'll go into that consultative sales process. So you've got your toolkit, you know how to now do the process for your unique selling proposition and tailored messaging. Now the employer says, yes, I want to meet with you. What happens when you go in? And so we're going to go over things. This is part campaign and your local brand kind of merging through a needs assessment, probing questions that really point back to your service offerings, a little bit of that. It also is a little bit about building your own personal brand. So we're going to show you how to develop a personal marketing resume, which is a 1-pager that you leave behind with the employer that's really about you, because you're the one building that relationship on behalf of your organization. So that's what we're going to be doing. And that webinar is scheduled for July 18th. From 3 to 4 p.m. I know Kirsten and Amy will be sending out follow-ups to help you all register for that, and links as well, so to make sure that you get all the assets from the campaign. Okay, so wow, that was a whirlwind, a lot of information. Any questions, comments? Oh, thanks, Kirsten. Just going through it. Okay. I'm so excited that some of you have done parts of the competitive analysis. Hopefully this can take you on a new journey. And again, if you don't, pick out 3 competitors and just see where it takes you. And what we can do is spend some time at the beginning of the next webinar. If any of you have questions on that process, or you want us to look at things or any of that, we'll set aside some time in webinar 3 to do that. Okay, I think I'm going to turn it back to Kirsten to close out. Have our contact information there. So Kirsten, I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Selena. Okay, so that concludes today's webinar. Again, there'll be a follow-up email that will go out tomorrow that will have the link to the website as well as a follow-up survey. And then we'll have the recording posted on the website. I put the website in the chat a couple times, but let me know if you need me to put it in there again. And then I just put in the chat the link to register for webinar number 3, which is also on the website too. So if you just go to that website, it's your one-stop shop for everything regarding the campaign. And if you have any follow-up questions, you can feel free to reach out to me directly. Here's my email. I'll put that in the chat. Or you can reach out to Selena or Kathy Olson, Tracy, or LaVon Nelson. I think that's it. If anyone has any questions, let me know. But otherwise, I'll go ahead and close us out. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you.